Hello, how are you? Welcome everyone to another call of the Kleros community. This is October 22, 2025. How are you, Jean? All good?
Doing great, and you?
Good. I'm doing great and happy about so many things that are going to come in the Republic in the coming weeks. So let me get started by some reminders of some cool things that are happening these days. As you might remember, if you come to our calls, we announced recently an agreement with the Stanford Journal of Blockchain Law and Policy, which is, in my view, the most important journal for blockchain and legal elements. It's edited by people from Stanford, and this journal has two sponsors. One of them is the Ethereum Foundation, and the other one is Kleros since a few weeks ago. So this is an amazing piece of news, and this is also for us really emotional in the sense that the first paper about decentralized justice that we wrote and published, presenting the concept, was published as at this at this journal. So it's like when you're a child, you go to Santiago Bernabeu to see Real Madrid, and at some point you get to play at Real Madrid. So it's like this type of emotion for us. I'm not saying this just to, because we're arrogant, but we are also organizing with the Stanford Journal a Kleros Stanford Symposium where people can submit papers about, the topic of the call for papers is Kleros and AI. There are different aspects that combine Kleros, centralized justice, and AI, in the sense of using AI for preparing disputes, using AI for jurors. We are actually working currently in a paper about this with William. He will for sure tell us a bit more about this later. But this is an open call for papers, an opportunity that is great to publish at a really, really important journal in the world of blockchain and legal studies. So if you feel like writing something about this and being at the cutting edge of research in these topics, we can share now, Jean, the link for people to see, and they can see the conditions and sign up there. It's a really, really good opportunity. For us, it's a great way to have really bright minds studying these interactions between Kleros and AI in the different contexts where this can be applied. So if you plan to apply for this, some recommendations: watch my talk at the conference HCC in Cannes, where we did, I explained a bit our previous research about Kleros and AI, and also watch or read my paper I published at the American Bar Association about how we could use Kleros for preventing or correcting biases that can happen in AI models used for dispute resolution. So this is the first thing I wanted to share with you. Second thing I wanted to share is the applications are open for the Kleros Fellowship of Justice. This is, in my view, one of the coolest things that we have done as an initiative within Kleros. This has had an impact hard to measure about making a community of researchers, and people have done research about lots of different topics, some about legal elements, some about the use of Kleros for disputes in the world of NFTs. Others were researching how Kleros can interact with traditional legal systems. I'm just, saying from the top of my head of those who I remember: Kleros for energy markets, Kleros for oil and gas. So lots of different people went through the program. I don't know the exact number of people who actually participated. Maybe over 100 for sure, and not all of them finished the program because it has some dropout rate, and because it's quite demanding. You need to spend lots of time. So, but if you go through the program and you actually can present your paper, and this is well received and it is accepted, you make $1,000 in PNK, and also you get to be part of what I would call the elite of Kleros. The graduates of our fellowship are kind of our aristocracy of the Kleros Republic, if you want. That's something, right, Jean?
Yes, and I think it's really cool to see the papers. Since it started, I think in 2018. There are lots of papers that were really ahead of its time, and now it's getting they're getting applied, and you can always be the first one to publish an idea that later gets applied. I think it doesn't happen everywhere, right? We're always looking forward to like expand the edge of decentralized justice, and there's the idea is not to only get a paper, but also get something that gets implemented, right?
Ahead of its time should be Kleros' motto at some point. I mean, Kleros, ahead of its time. Some of them actually helped build, this future. One of them, I mentioned this last week. If you want to learn more, there's a presentation I did with slides last week. But one fellow did a really smart thing. He did Mauricio from Mexico. He's an arbitrator from Mexico, and there was lots of people writing papers about whether Kleros could be acceptable as an arbitration system in different jurisdictions. And what he did is he did that research, which is really important, but he also said, okay, I'm going to test this. I'm going to put a Kleros case, a case resolved by Kleros, actually to test in a dispute where there is an arbitration decision made by Kleros, and let's see if a national court recognizes the decision as valid. This was done in Jalisco in 2021. The final ruling of the court accepted Kleros' ruling as a valid ruling under Mexican law. So, and this opened, immense opportunities not only for Kleros but also for Mauricio. I mean, this person doing this research on the fellowship, he got cited by lots of people. I mean, you can look for Mauricio Virués in Google Scholar and check it for yourself. He got cited in Walter's Kluwer. He got cited in lots of legal journals. And I mean, he will be someday. I mean, if we succeed in what we're trying to do, I mean, he will probably be in a history book. So that's a great thing. I mean, a great incentive to do the fellowship. I mean, don't do it for the $1,000. I mean, I can promise you, it will. If you see this as a farming opportunity, it will be negative. So it will take a long time for you to do the fellowship because it's demanding. But if you do it for the right reasons, and you might change the course of history. Okay. Speaking of Mexico, well, we are now starting to expand our reach, especially the Kleros Enterprise segments. Kleros Enterprise is the part of Kleros which tries to deal with real-world use cases. We already have mentioned many times how we work with fintech companies like Lemon, how we work with insurance companies for resolving dispute with policyholders, how we work with government, for example, Mendoza. So, and Mexico is a special place for us to start replicating the good things that are happening in Argentina because, as I mentioned before, this was the first country where Kleros ruling was recognized by a state court. Second, because 2024, Mexican Congress passed a law accepting centralized justice as a valid method for solving disputes in Mexico. So we are getting lots of inbound requests of, okay, how can I use Kleros in my insurance, fintech, e-commerce, whatever. So this is why we are in need of someone who will handle this from the business development side in Mexico. So you can apply to the link and go through the process of recruiting. Then next Monday we are going to have I'm going to travel tomorrow to Chile because as part of our continuation of the enterprise efforts to have more users of Kleros, I'm going to be speaking at a conference called Legal Week. This is going to gather some of the most important legal tech experts in Latin America and Spain, also Spain. Some of them who are, I would say half of them who are already part of, in some other way, the Kleros community, because some of them invited us for giving like lectures at conference I organized, like Juan Manuel Haddad, who is one of the speakers. He's one of the most important, I don't know if he's general counsel of, or one of the top like legal department members in Telefonica in Mexico, and he invited me to speak at the conference in they organized a legal tech forum in Mexico last year, and well, one really cool pilot started with me speaking at that conference. So this is all, life is a social network. So it's going to be great to be and see him again in Santiago and expand the knowledge of Kleros there. Hopefully get another integration for enterprise. So this is the Legal Week event is going to be on the 28th. But the day before, since I'm going to be there, we're going to organize a Kleros event on the 27th in partnership with a university called UTEM, which is a technological university of Santiago, and they are helping us organize with the room and and also the calling for people who want to come to the conference. So that is going to be really cool. So the decentralized justice movement, evangelization, continues in South America. I don't know, Jean, if you want to, before going to JB and the audit part, maybe you have some comments about Argentina, the Connect. We have so many things coming in the next few weeks,
Yes.
like tons of conferences, and yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I think starting with the news that we just had like a couple of hours ago, we'll be participating on the Arbiverse event. It's an event organized by Arbitrum, and we will be having a stand there. This is I think very valuable to us because the people there are already building on Arbitrum. They are the first ones that can integrate Kleros, and we are soon be releasing the full version of the V2. So that's the perfect timing, and I'm very excited about this. And we have, well, Facundo will be giving a couple of talks about the legal part of the of Kleros. I think this is one of the how can I say, the differentiators of Kleros compared to other projects that they do not interact much with the real world, and we actually do. Marcos and Facundo will be giving a talk in the the HCD event in San Martin de los Andes. It started. The event is like a month long. They will be giving the presentation on the 4th of November, if I'm not mistaken. And where else? Well, there are so many
things.
Too bad
that in November, I don't think there is snow anymore in November in San Martin de los Andes.
No? Yeah, I don't think so. But I already saw some videos of people doing trekking, playing football. So I think they will be entertained anyway.
to me, like it's a place where I would like to retire. San Martin de los Andes is like it's like a small thing of part of Switzerland in Patagonia. I think I already mentioned this, but the day Satoshi Nakamoto launched the Bitcoin network, I was on a biking trip. Going from San Martin de los Andes to Bariloche, and it was the exact same day. It was January 4, 2009. I was starting my biking trip through the 7 legs route in the Patagonia, and so just a fun thing about me. So I obviously was not Satoshi, because otherwise, why would I be on my bike trip? I would be like building the network, right?
Well, if you were biking alone, then you have no alibis, so we cannot believe you. Maybe it's Paul Goldberg, but we need to develop that theory. And one interesting thing is that the opening event, Cello from Lemon was a speaker. So Lemon, I think they moved to San Martin de los Andes at some point to start the company. And they are now participating too, so it will be nice. I don't know if they will attend our event, but it will be nice to have them. And Whereas there's the governance day in the weekend just before DevConnect. We will have Alex doing a talk about Futurkey. We will have Facundo talking about the Mendoza project, and I think probably more things going on. We have this is organized by the Seed Latam team, so there's lots of collaborations that we have been doing and overlap between what we do and what they do. So this will be pretty cool too. And well, there's so many side events. We will probably join the event organized by the Naos DAO that we have been talking with them for an integration. They invited us to a showcase, app builders showcase. So yeah, I'll make a list because if not, we will lose track of
so
how
many things.
How many events.
Yeah, I myself, I'm going to be speaking at the main event, at the EdCon event, in a panel about the history of Ethereum in Argentina. I'm going to be speaking also at the Funding the Commons event. That is, I'm speaking especially about, well, all of the work we do with governments, of real world governments, with Mendoza. So we're going to be there with Mario, who is the judge from the Supreme Court of Mendoza, who pushed a bit this partnership. Then I'm going to be also giving a workshop about how to build a company in Web3 with some members of the business school where I did my PhD, EI Business School, where Marcos is doing his MBA. So I'm going to be speaking there. I mean, it's a workshop on how to build a open source project with tokenomics, a bit of everything. That, and I think I have like 2 more talks, but I don't remember now. We will gather all this information and share it with you. Okay. Anything else, Gene, about these little things we need to mention?
No, just that we will have like a booth in the main event. We'll probably be doing workshops every day for people that want to have the experience of being a juror. We are currently working on that, and yeah, just would like to invite people to to visit us.
Awesome. Well, let's move to the next section of our talk today. So, as you know, one of the main projects that we have at Kleros these days, I mean, the main project, I would say, is the launch of the Court V2 or Kleros 2.0. I mean, I prefer to call it, Kleros 2.0, but, everyone just call it, Kleros V2. So, I mean, you cannot, fight the world. So it's fine, Kleros V2. So, as you know, Kleros started in 2017. We launched the first version of Kleros, what we could call alpha, in the context of an experiment we did with what was called Doge on Trial, which is a curation experiment where community should curate a list of Doges. It was something we did in 2018. In July, we started to test the incentives behind Kleros, and that went really well. And it was built with the tools we had back then, so it was really not very user-friendly, and so it was very expensive because of the cost of Ethereum fees, especially when we had, some of you might remember CryptoKitties, because when you had the CryptoKitties thing, how expensive the network could get, because everyone was, of course, buying and selling CryptoKitties. So that was the first version. Then second version we launched during the ETHCC 2018. It was called Kleros Athena, and the contract was called Kleros Liquid, which had a number of improvements in the way it handled the periods, and also a number of improvements in the context of user interface. And that is the version that is still on. The main Kleros Court is still that one. But over time, we have learned lots of different things, lots of improvements stemming from our research about one person, one vote, soulbound tokens for verification of juror skills or belonging to communities. Of course, L2s for making it cheaper to make the votes and being able to address like lower value cases. All that. Don't want to repeat everything because we had already a call specific about that, and also I also gave lots of presentations about it in different webinars. But do watch the Kleros 2.0 community call we did like 1 month ago. So this resulted in specs, and now last year we launched the beta version in Arbitrum. It was gated. You needed an SVT to be accepted to be a juror there. It was working. Most of it was working, but there were improvements in user interface and everything. Now that we have finished all of these improvements, we are have just finished the smart contracts that will go into Kleros 2.0, and now we are in the process of auditing the new version of the court. And well, I will let JB here, our lead of engineering, to explain how this process works, what we are doing. Yeah, I mean, and what can we expect in the future? So, yeah, please, JB, stage is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip. So, yeah, since the last time also that I was giving an update on the project, we've pretty much frozen the code base, and we are now at the third round of internal review. So, since the last time, we tried to make all the changes that we wanted to have in the contract. Some of those changes were actually not compatible with the existing deployment that we have. They break the storage layout, for example, they break the ABI. So we've made those changes. They are the ones being reviewed right now. And they're actually not compatible with the current version that is deployed in beta, but that's intentional. So yeah, right now we are trying to catch every possible issues that might that we can find ourselves internally. So we had the first round of reviewing all the smart contract code with a number of team members. We caught a few issues. Two of them were vulnerabilities, but in very edge cases, like very, very specific conditions. They are not affecting the beta deployment that we have in production, closed beta, because thanks to all the mitigations that we have on the who can create disputes and the amounts that are at stake and everything, the beta version is fine. But yeah, there are two issues. If you're really curious, you could find them on GitHub. But beta is fine, and we have addressed those vulnerabilities. And there are also some smaller bugs that were found and fixed as well. In the second round, we didn't find any new issue, and we are now going through the third round. And there's a last-minute code change that we are working on, which is not ideal, but I think we'll add a fair amount of flexibility that will be very nice, and that is still better to do now than after the audit. And so that should be the last final code change to the contracts before the audit.
JB, one small question. A big part of the audience are like lawyers and people who are not experts in cybersecurity. Can you like explain in like 2 minutes? I mean, how does it work to audit smart contract? I mean, what do auditors do exactly? What do they review? What tests they run? So we can learn a bit more about this alchemy.
Yes, I would say the the core of it, the effort is just staring at the code and try to break it. You try to make the code do things it's not supposed to do. See if you can see if it does what it says it does, but also see if you can make it do what it's not supposed to do. If there is tokens on the contract or Ether, try to take it. If it's supposed to give you an answer, maybe what is the ruling for this? Like, can you make it say something else in any way possible? And that's mostly just looking at the code, taking notes. Some people even print the code on paper and just go offline somewhere and just look at the code on paper. And then there's another level of it is using semi-automated tools to see if you can flag some things. I think most of the developers have their code editor with a bunch of extra tools on it that will flag many low-hanging fruits, issues or like red flags. So that, yeah. And we also have a number of automated tests that run. So I think we probably have with Hard Hat and Foundry, we probably have 300 automated tests running right now. But yeah, it's even that doesn't catch everything.
Okay. So we start with our team of developers staring at the code and trying to run the code and see if they can make it do things it's not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so now we are in the rounds of internal reviews. And what happens after that?
So we keep fixing things as we find them. Sometimes the solution is not obvious. You don't always want to fix code by adding more code. So sometimes you need to rethink about your assumptions. Yeah, I could get into one specific example, but and yeah, if we've set a date for the start of the external audit with the professional company which does just try to break smart contracts, and they will start doing this in 10 days. The ideal position for us would be to start that process having zero known issue, and we are in a good position for that. And yes, so during that process, we'll work together with the auditors. I think there will be probably two persons auditing the code, and at the end they will make a list of findings, maybe recommendations on how to resolve them, and we will address those issues. And I think at that point the auditor will publish the final report, including the remediations from our side. And yeah.
And now after we get the report from the auditors, then what happens next?
Okay, what happens next? So in the meantime, okay, so that happens probably in parallel. That's the smart contracts. Now we need to play catch up on the front end side with the contracts. So if everything goes well, when we have the green light, the report is published from the auditor. Hopefully we have a DevNet that is running, that doesn't require any more change, and we can just replicate it in production, or we could deploy in production but disable, sort of freeze the deployment, and the minute that the audit report is out, we could unfreeze it. There's probably going to be a bit of a few days just to test things out and And yeah, and then there is also a strategy about transitioning from beta to the new stable version. So we'll try to migrate the state of the history of disputes, of 110 disputes that have taken place over the last 1 year, to not lose that history and to carry it over in the new deployment, and yeah, have it visible in the front end, in the core front end.
And so when can we consider that everything migrated to the V2 and we can like just disable the V1?
Okay, so that's the next big milestone that really starts exactly after the audit and the stable launch. So there's on one front, it's the cross-chain solution, cross-chain component should work and be nicely integrated with the court. So that's via, and right now we have it running with Hashi. So that integration should be really functional and ready. And then there is the V1 migration side. So on that front, we'll have different migration strategies. The core V1 will forward the V1 disputes to V2. Some apps might be able to be compatible with V2 seamlessly. Maybe some apps, especially the apps that we have built at Kleros, will have a new V2 version, maybe fresh new V2 version, which is currently the case for the escrow V2, for example. So it's completely rebuilt from scratch. We'll probably have a curate V2 version as well for that. And for the other ones, the disputes will just be forwarded to Kleros V2 seamlessly.
Cool. Okay, well, there you go. You have an overview of what is coming now that the audit process started. Anything else you want to add, JB?
No, not specifically. Getting ready to see Dev Connect is starting to be. I'm starting to see many events, side events happening. The news about Arbiverse is pretty awesome, because that's going to be really the home of Kleros V2. So yeah, looking forward to that.
People ask me why we chose Arbitrum. I mean, what are we doing here? Arbitration. So it was like a match made in heaven, right? So I mean, what is? Okay, no, I'm joking. Yeah, it's great, and also, the fact it's called Arbitrum is a kind of a signal that this is great for us. Okay, thank you, JB. Anything else? Yeah, Jin.
I think it's a good, like, now that we are announcing that we are participating in the Arbiverse, I think it's a good time to announce why we chose Arbitrum. Like, if you can, JB, or share a bit of the reason.
Okay. Yes. So, well, at the beginning, it was a purely technical reason. When we made that decision, Arbitrum was the most advanced L2 around, and Optimism has been playing catch up. But I think even to this day, you could probably say that Arbitrum is most likely the most resilient. If you're very pessimistic about what could go wrong, Arbitrum is probably the most secure L2. But yeah, the name just makes it easier.
That's how they explained it to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, or we can continue? We have lots of things still for today. Anything else, JB?
Nope, not for now.
Awesome, thank you. Let's go now to William. William, what an amazing thing to see that we have worked so hard doing research, it's finally coming to fruition, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Like I'm doing, research for years on new voting mechanisms, new incentive systems we can do, new ways to draw jurors, and finally we'll have the flexibility to do that with V2. It'll be gratifying.
Tell us a bit what's going on in research.
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, we're thinking a lot about how decentralized justice can interact with AI. We've been writing this article about some of our thoughts on that. I've been doing experiments where I look at how AIs, different LLMs, different AI tools handle Kleros cases, specific categories of Kleros cases, and how that compares to what the human jurors do. Like, what's the rate at which the AIs agree with each other, agree with the human jurors, how that sort of breaks down, and when they kind of trip on certain categories of cases, and what this sort of generally tells us about what it would look like in a world where you try to use an AI as a Kleros juror. So we've been doing these experiments. We have lots of more general thoughts which will be present in the article, which I look forward to everybody reading. Things about plugging confidential documents into an AI as kind of a pre-processing tool that will then they send them to Kleros. That in some ways that solves this fundamental issue that we've had for years, in that blockchains are very transparent, and that you have this whole community that's reprocessing all of this data, and then the question is, how do I get user privacy in that? And it really looks like AI is probably the solution to that, to achieving that in kind of a credibly neutral way, and that people can, if they have confidential information, that you need to be really selective in what exactly your crowd jurors, Kleros jurors see. The AI can do some kind of pre-processing to filter that in the sort of appropriate ways. So a lot of, it's an emerging set of ideas, an emerging field. Been thinking a lot about that. Other than that,
yeah, let me just mention just that it's also really cool to see how different tools that we have been building over the years start to kind of get together, in the sense that we built, as apps Proof of Humanity, Curate, the court, and you can see now Proof of Humanity. Well, do you want jurors to be AIs, or do you want them to be human? Maybe because if you want jurors to be humans because of different reasons, one of the reasons could be compliance. For some jurisdictions, most jurisdictions, by the way, they don't like that a decision be made by an automated system if it's affecting the rights of users. So you might be asked to prove that users who are making a decision are actually humans, and for this they might have to pass Proof of Humanity type of test. Then you can also want them to verify that they have some knowledge, some skills, maybe that they know about consumer claims. We are currently working in an integration with Argentinian companies where it's important that jurors are eligible only among those who prove that they are lawyers with expertise in consumer disputes. And if Kleros can prove that the court that makes decisions about that, and with that type of jurors, then those decisions can become binding under Argentinian law. And these different countries have different conditions, and if we can start to adapt the different tools to make Kleros compliant with the laws of different countries, then the adoption potential is way higher, because companies can just use this as a binding tool and have their cases resolved much faster, and not having to go to court and saving in legal fees. So all of these little tools that we were developing over time are kind of converging into a potential for greater adoption, which I think V2 will unlock. Yeah, William, go ahead.
Yeah, just one other thing that's going on. I proposed some new parameters to update the parameters for changing crypto prices and gas prices, and looking at recent statistics on things like how coherent the jurors are, to update the parameters for all of those changing variables. So check that on the forum. There's a KIP. It'd be great if the community like engages as much as possible with these like parameters. Like ultimately, they're determining the conditions of the work the jurors are doing. Are you being paid enough? Like do you think like they adequately address like the difficulty of different tasks? This is something that the best people to give input on are the jurors yourselves in the different courts. So please give input.
Yeah. So also mention that one thing that was, I mentioned this before in the call with the team. We are seeing lots of people doing organically research about Kleros and like researching and this research having impact, like and teaching also. This happened before. We always have tried to put the seeds of Kleros in universities where people who are engaged with the future will participate. But in the last 3 months, I have seen like a kind of an inflection point, like the exponential curve starting to kick off, where we see people like Florence Guillaume, who is one of the world leading experts in centralized justice. She's a professor at the University of Neuchâtel. She's a professor, or the founder of LexTech Institute, which is a very important institute of the future of law. She went to teach in France to the Caen University in Normandy, and she puts this on LinkedIn. And she went there to teach about blockchain and lots about Kleros. So that is something, I would say, as the advertisement says, this is money cannot buy, Another guy from Dominican Republic writes a paper about Kleros, proposed the paper to like a important conference to be held in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and gets accepted. Now he wanted to, present Kleros in front of like a big audience of lawyers, consumer dispute lawyers, and that people from Brazil, Marcos Porto Suarez, who did the fellowship. I see him all the time now presenting Kleros in front of big audiences, writing a book about Kleros. So something organic is growing, which I think is it takes years to do. Making a research community and teaching community. I think it's worth mentioning because it took us a long time to do. I also think that this is something that is like a very hard for like a new project who wanted to start working on this to just replicate. It's not you cannot copy the code of this and just do your own or fork it. So it's I guess it's a Kleros Republic. Yeah, your thoughts, William?
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Like, we've been researching these things for a long time, and we've tried to do our best to like engage other researchers. And at a certain point, it takes a life of its own. And, it's great to see.
Yeah, I think that's where we're getting to that point. Okay, thank you, William. Anything else you want to say today?
Not really. I'm like just on the name of Arbitrum, like like ultimately they also sort of think about like themselves as kind of a dispute resolution thing, like deep down. Like if you like really think about like how the roll-up works, where people like can propose like conflicting things, they think of like this like elaborate process to resolve conflicts, and that's sort of where the name comes from. And I met with one of the leading researcher academic people behind Arbitrum once, and he's like, "Oh, you also do a sort of dispute resolution." I was like, "Yeah." It's maybe an easier version to just to describe to like one's grandmother or something, but complementary versions of dispute resolution.
How can you explain the type of dispute resolution they do? It's like TrueBit, right, William?
Yeah, exactly. It's very similar like vein of ideas.
It's worth mentioning, in the very early days of Kleros, we were in touch with this project called TrueBit. This researcher called Jason Teuch, who co-authored with Vitalik the paper about the interactive coin offering that we use that mechanism for our token sale 2018. And the interesting thing is that he just got a prize for his research. So we were in touch with the right people in the beginning, William. I guess it was really, really cool. I'm happy for him because he's such a great guy. Okay. Thank you, William. Let's move on because it's already 50 minutes. Okay, who's next? I think Marcos is coming now. Yeah. Hello, Marcos. How are you? Thanks for coming.
Hey, how are you? How's it going? All good here. All good. I was talking this meet with Facundo Pastorella from Roxxon. They launched it yesterday. So yes, I was creating a new profile and everything related to that. Yes, I think Roxxon is going to be a big partner of Kleros in the future. Again, they are just starting, but they are going to be a big partner. But yes, about the Kleros Enterprise updates, we have a few. This week we received a bunch of cases. In first place, we received 3 cases from Lemon. I think 2 of them were already created in our court. One is still, we are still waiting for more information. Then we received a new case from Mendoza. Well, as you know, we were in Mendoza 2 weeks ago, and well, now we receive a new case from the jury of Mendoza, that is Fernanda. And we too received this week a new case from Junin, so a lot of works for the jurors that stake in our court. Lucia was helping me with this. Lucia, remember, is this intern that started working in Kleros at the beginning of this month, and she's going to be working with everything related to Kleros Enterprise, more specifically with the manual process of this, and well, of course, helping us to contact more leads, and well, this again, everything related to enterprise. Then we are preparing our presentation of profiles for the consumer department. This is related to the customer defendant figure. As you know, there was a new resolution that was published. I think it was last month, and where we are applying to be part of this figure in Argentina. And well, for this, we are presenting the profiles of the jurors that would be part of this figure. We started this week a new round of contacting fintechs. Again, Lucia is helping me with this, but the idea is to contact as much fintechs as we can before Dev Connect. We know that in Dev Connect, most of them are going to be or in the event or in the side events, and we are going to meet them. So the idea is to at least contact once all fintechs from Argentina, and well, not for the moment in Argentina, but later of other countries of Latam that again most probably we are going to meet soon. Then we have the open position for Kleros Enterprise in Mexico. Federico, you already mentioned this at the beginning of this call, but yes, the idea is to start replicating what we have been working in Argentina in Mexico, because of all the advantages that we have in Mexico and the big community that we have there. And well, those are the main important updates from my side. Then we are still conversating with another leads. We are buying some merch for Dev Connect and some other things that are not very important for this moment.
Thank you, Marcos. I see there is a question from someone. Would you guys shift to Solana? I know. Should we shift to Solana? We have, over time, over the life of the project, we had a lot of questions about. We have been around for so long that sometimes, first the question: would you guys shift to EOS first? Then it was: would you guys shift to what were the Tron? I remember Tron. Would you guys shift? Honestly, for now, we don't see projects, enough projects to be worth to think of that. Also, shifting doesn't mean that leaving Ethereum. We are also very deeply ingrained with the Ethereum ecosystem and culture. That's, you know that. But opening another court in another chain, we have considered that in the past. We need first to see that there is enough traction in that chain to make worthwhile for us to invest those resources. Second, also splitting the tokens across different chains can reduce the economic resistance to economic attacks that could affect Kleros. I don't know if William is still around. Maybe William, you want to comment on this? I mean, you might be able to, and also how VIA can maybe affect this, because now we have the bridge. Do you want to say something about this, William? Oh, wow. Yeah, there we go. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly those points. Like if you have sort of versions of the court that don't talk to each other on different chains, but you can like swap tokens back and forth between the chains, or even if just they're like you splitting the number of disputes that are being judged by the community of Kleros in different places. Like you would expect to break the economics, fragment the economic security a bit, because in any given one place, there's only going to be so much value. There'll be that many fewer tokens essentially. So it would be easier to perform 51% attacks. Instead, our vision to deal with this problem while still being able to have Kleros rulings applied in all kinds of different chains, because we expect to live in a multi-chain world where there are lots of different L1s, L2s that interact with each other in different ways, is to have sort of bridges that work well with Kleros. And we developed a bridge called VIA that is sort of adapted well to kind of the mechanism. It's built out of the same kind of mechanisms that a lot of Kleros is built out of. And also a lot of the sort of Kleros applications, curated lists and things, kind of submitter challenger mechanisms that someone can basically claim, okay, this was the ruling on Kleros that lives on Arbitrum or Ethereum or wherever, and that you need the ruling on some other chain, and then that will be executed as long as it's not challenged with a certain amount of time.
William, so not very long ago, someone asked me about this, why the economic attack on why not Kleros in different chains. And this is an example I gave. This was a non-technical person, so let me see if it was accurate. I said, look, this is like an army. So if you are fighting a war on just one front, you have all of your army on that front. If you need to fight in 2 or 3 fronts, then you spread a bit thin, and then you can, get attacked on one of the fronts where you have less of an army. I don't know if that's accurate to explain this.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And one of the things about working in crypto is that by the nature of smart contracts is you sort of have to ossify yourself and reduce your own flexibility. That is the the essence of decentralization. That it's hard to react in real time because you've etched things into stone. But the attackers, it's a very attack-rich world, and they can do whatever on whatever front works best for them. So you need to really think about how you distributed your army.
Good. Let me see if JB can answer. Are you there, JB? You want to answer a bit about the bridging, technical elements? I don't know. Are you still there? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You can see we answer to every question here. This is like a press conference, and we answer whatever you want to ask. You can we will answer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I would say it depends on the type of protocol. Some protocols are more multi-chain, some are more cross-chain. So by multi-chain, I mean that you, for example, liquidity pool, you could deploy Uniswap or Aave on a new chain, and most likely it's its own thing by itself. It doesn't talk to the other deployments on the other chains, and so that's multi-chain. If that was an architecture that was possible for Kleros v2, then we could just deploy on every chain on Solana, on everything you can think of, and that would be actually the easiest way to do it, the most simple way to deploy. But it just doesn't make sense for our protocol. So we need to be deployed. We need to centralize the stakes in one place. That would require a ton of coordination if that was dispersed on multiple chains. So we instead of having multiple deployments in many chains. It's more like a hub and spokes. We are deployed in one home and we coordinate with the spokes on other chains. So then if we deploy on Solana, we still want to support the Ethereum ecosystem, and now we need to be cross-chain from Solana to Ethereum. So we still have the same problem, just in the other direction. And yeah, it's still, in my opinion, makes more sense to do it from Ethereum. It's probably easier to bridge from Ethereum to other places than the other way around, I think. If we ever really were going to pursue that, we have actually looked into it. It's not, we actually considered it seriously for some projects, even for, I remember we looked at Neon at some point. And yeah, it's not that easy, to be honest, but it's probably going to get easier over time.
So, guys, you see, we have considered every alternative that you can imagine. So there is a reason why we are on Ethereum, and there is a reason why we chose Arbitrum, because it sounds like arbitration, and it also sounds a bit like Argentina because it starts with the I, A, and R. So there you go. Very good pattern recognition. Okay, thank you, JB and William. Let's start to wrap this up. We have a Dudu first. To give his update. Yeah. Hello, Dudu.
Yeah.
Hello.
Before I just want to mention something, because when I joined Kleros, everyone was asking for Kleros to be on Binance Smart Chain.
Right. I forgot that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that made a lot of sense, and I was like one of the people asking for that. And then a year later, everyone was asking for Polygon, and right now it's not receiving lots of attention. So yeah, I think these requests and I didn't understand why the response was that, but now I understand. So
as I said, the first time we were asked that, I think the question was about EOS. So imagine, yeah. Dudu.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You don't even know what EOS is. I mean, you were not even born when EOS was launched, I think.
Yo, no, it's not that bad. Yeah, but hello everyone. Most people that are watching probably don't know who I am. It's my face is kind of new here. My name is Eduardo. I joined Kleros 2 months ago, and today I come here to talk. Wait, let me start this up. I started with an initiative a couple weeks before joining, and it's the case of the week. So every week I go over a case that Kleros had in one of his courts to present to the world the real use case behind Kleros, without all the technical things that JB and William put into them. So today I'll be talking about that. Let me see if I can boot this up, and we'll go into it. Yeah. It's working nice. I stole your template, Federico. Hope you don't mind.
No, I mean, it's not mine. It's from the Republic, so you can use it.
Okay. Yeah. No, thanks. Okay. Let us start. This week's case of the week was based on Kleros 2.0 case 101. It was a case where a consumer that was traveling from Warsaw which is in Poland, to Istanbul, Turkey, then to Buenos Aires in Argentina. She had her luggage damaged. 2 suitcases that she described were completely destroyed and unusable, which led her to file a claim on their website and try to get a refund for it. What happened here was that the luggage that she had was a bit old, so from 2020, and Turkish Airlines, the provider of the service, were asking the consumer for an invoice of those luggages so they could refund her. But she didn't have the invoice because it was old luggage. And my dive here is to show you how Kleros jurors think about it and how they solve it according to the current Argentinian law for consumer courts. let's start with the damaged luggage. This is some of the photos I was able to extract from the evidence itself on the case that was opened in the Kleros court. You can see here the luggage extremely damaged. She took these photos and attached them with the evidence that she submitted in the Turkish Airlines website in order to get refunds. She stated that the values of these luggages were around 65 euros for one and 78 for the other. It was something like that. And this made Turkish Airlines like, wait, if I'm going to refund you, I need an invoice. It was where the whole problem began. So because this consumer definitely needed their luggage, she went on to a local shop in Argentina to buy new luggage. I need to zoom in here. But she bought new luggage for a value of 470,000 pesos, which was around $440 at the time. This happened in February this year. And she invoiced this to the Turkish Airlines to show them, hey, this is an invoice of the new luggage I got because of the damage that you caused, and I'm asking you for a full refund of this to avoid escalating the situation. That eventually didn't happen. So this is the timeline of the case. She got the damage. She replaced the purchase here in February. And from March to July, there were a lot of conversations back and forth with Turkish Airlines, they demanding the original invoice, the consumer not being able to provide the original invoice. The consumer talked with support, tried to follow up through email multiple times with this invoice to get a refund, and she was ignored, according to the evidence. And which led to an escalation to the municipality of Junin, which is a pilot that Kleros has for V2. And that led to this, which is a little bit of all the evidence and policy that jurors have to go through to analyze this case. This was around 47 or 48 pages of evidence. These are just some of them. They involve the luggage destroyed, the complaints, all the conversations that the customer had back and forth with Turkish Airlines. And upon seeing this, and the problem not being resolved, once the case was escalated to the municipality of Junin, the municipality of Junin uses Kleros V2 for consultative purposes. So what they did was, right here, in September, they submitted this claim to Kleros V2, asking if this claim was valid. Should the Turkish Airlines refund the consumer of their purchase after allegedly damaging their luggage? The problem right here was the main question: did Turkish Airlines actually damage the luggage? Because there was no video evidence, there were just photos. And not having the invoice, can they deny the responsibility because they don't have an invoice to prove, like the consumer doesn't have the invoice? Turns out that in consumer law in Argentina, this was the juror's justification. I'm just skipping here, and they all accepted the claim of the consumer. In Argentinian law, you have in dubio pro consumidor. I think that's how you pronounce it in Spanish, which means that in doubt, you should always side with the consumer. In this case, because there was no certainty of who damaged the luggage, the Argentinian courts side with the consumer to make it easier and to make it fair without a lot of bureaucracy for the consumers to have their disputes resolved. And also because this involved an airline, on airline regulations in Argentina, you also have an article which states that during transportations, if an airline is damaged, so it's not the ones in the cabin in the airplane, if it's external transportation, if luggage is damaged, it's solely the responsibility of airline to solve this case. And that was the justifications that all of the jurors used to analyze this case and to come up with an answer in only 5 days. So if we go back to the timeline here, you can see that this happened in February, and the case was opened in Kleros V2 in September. Throughout all this time, it was stuck on traditional means. And this goes to show also how fast and effective Kleros really is at analyzing all the same regulations and evidence that the traditional system had access to, but they just don't have the means and don't have the capability of doing it so quickly and so coherently. Still, jurors all voted. They all voted to accept the claim, and this is now being used by the Consumer Court in Junin to for consultative purposes, for an actual jury to enforce whatever decision he comes up with. It's just consultative purposes. I think it's an important disclaimer. So, Q&A, I don't know if anyone has any questions. One of the questions that came up to me when I was doing this was, do jurors still vote accept the claim or have the same decision if there was no photo evidence of the luggage being damaged? I mean, of course, if you have the photos, it seals the deal because you can see the luggage actually being broken. But without the photos, it was a very interesting question. Without the photos, the jurors should still accept the claim because when in doubt, as consumer law in Argentina states, when in doubt, you should side with the consumer. You guys are back. Hello.
Yeah. No. First, I mean, you have very good Latin. You know, it's in dubio per consumum was very good.
Thank you.
So imagine if the airline had Kleros like plugged directly into their dispute system. The customer could have their dispute resolved in like 5 days without losing months of back and forth. So the airline, so you save money to the government. The airline could save reputation because now everyone knows, this airline loses the damages, the luggage of their, passengers. Not great, so I'm not going to travel with this one. I had this, I don't know if I should tell this, but it's already on Twitter because I was, waiting for a flight in a very famous airline and it was canceled. And they said it was canceled because of, weather. And if you get canceled because of weather, you don't get, compensation because of the regulation in Europe. You get compensated only if your flight is canceled or delayed for more than X amount of hours under some conditions. But if it's weather, no, because you can argue that it's like a safety of the flight issue and it's not in their control. So I was canceled and I was like telling them, look, all of these other flights are flying to Europe and they are not canceled. I mean, how come my flight is canceled? Is it different weather in the where I'm going? No, this is the same country as this other flight. And I was pissed. And you need to. I should not do this, but I put it on Twitter. This airline, it's not treating me as I deserve, and I have some followers with a big following also, and a guy with 500,000 followers retweeted my complaint.
You left the little devil on your shoulder. Do that.
Honestly, and the guy retweeted, and then all those people started coming. Oh, look, hey, yeah, I have the problem with the same airline. They lost my luggage, my canceled flight, no compensation, and and how much damage it cost, to the airline because of me complaining on social media, which is what people do. And then instantly, I got someone from the airline. Hey, Federico, please contact us on this special number for you because we don't want you to be like a sad, customer, and we want to compensate. Okay, so social media is the mob justice of our time.
Reputation before the damage is done.
Yeah, not great for me, not great for the airline. All of this could have been avoided with, Kleros. So just use Kleros, save reputation, save money to the government. Yeah.
Yeah, I think over time, if it gets more adopted, like when it gets more adopted, let's say, the expectation of people of these processes will also change. So then, let's say there's an airline that has a dispute with Kleros, and you will create a case if you get an issue, and that it will be resolved very quickly. So you prefer that, and then you have like a higher expectation of justice of the other airlines. So if you have an issue, then you'll start like asking for more, because you know that's possible. It's possible to resolve a claim in 1 week. So yeah, I think
that's
would be nice.
what we want to accomplish, because if you know that the XYZ platform offers, good customer service, then you are more willing to give your business to that platform instead of going to another one. It might be a bit cheaper, but you never know what's going to happen. That's also a bit of the reason why some people prefer to buy stuff through famous or important platforms instead of just trying to circumvent the platform. You contact the guy on the platform and then you go outside, so you save you can save the fee, but then if a problem arises, then you don't have it's going to be way more complicated. So Kleros can be this like seal of trust that people will look for when interacting with anyone online. That is I guess and go. What I like also is this is not like a sexy thing. It's not a risk taking. It doesn't involve NFT, digital art stuff, which it's cool also, but it's still something that people can understand, that can help people's life, make some things easier for them. So this is why the Zero Foundation and other actors in the ecosystem are looking very much into these use cases, because these are the use cases that people can understand and that people and governments can know how it helps people, instead of just being like a token, another token. Okay, I think we are way past the time. Yeah,
just to add to you, like when I was setting up the presentation, I wrote marketing intern. Then I reminded myself that you always say Kleros doesn't do marketing. So I was about to write there Kleros evangelist or ambassador or something like that. But it's very true, because like most of these blockchain and NFTs and all of these tokens that are always showing up on X, most of them are just there to get the attention, get the money, and go to the next project. And because Kleros is so focused on building real use cases, building things that actually help people everywhere, like decentralization is supposed to do, it just sticks to people without the need for marketing. Kleros doesn't need marketing because marketing isn't useful. It just doesn't need marketing because the product markets itself. In order for the product to be used, people need to interact with it. People need to go to the courts and see Kleros being used in a real life format that it's behind the numbers and behind all the math that happens in blockchain technology.
I think that in the crypto industry, people had some misconception of what marketing is, because people tend to associate marketing to social media influencers trying to tell you, well, this is the next coin that's going to be like a 100x. We don't do that. But if you consider marketing trying to craft a message to the right audience, which is the audience you want to reach with your project, for this to be adopted, I would say we do a lot of marketing. I would say that we do this type of marketing.
We have a lot of promoters.
We are the project has done most marketing in the history of crypto, for sure. Only a different type of target that we think is more aligned with our long-term goals than what people think. But yeah, when marketing, we have been doing 7 years of marketing already, and you can already see the result of all. Okay, let's stop now because it's already 1 hour and 20. So yeah, we have like a lot. Anything else? Final message, Gene, or something?
No, just that next week we'll probably have the Kleros Scout V2 preview version open to being used. I'm super excited to share that with everyone, because it looks great.
Yeah, the Kleros Scout V2, it's looking very good. I think it will blow up X when it goes live there.
Guys, thank you very much for coming. We will see you next Monday for the Spanish call, and then next Wednesday for the call in English.
Yeah,
bye.
Summary of the call drops tomorrow morning for everyone in Europe. Bye now.